Hey YouTube, what's up? So in my previous video I said that I was unsatisfied with the amount of bass I was getting from my audio setup, and so I have here the JBL BassPro SL. And today I'm going to be installing this underneath my driver's seat, and hopefully that'll fix the bass problem. So let's take a look. Alright, so before we begin you have to remove the driver's seat, which is held in place by 4 bolts. They're Torx T40 heads, and they are on the front and back of these 2 rails here. And once you remove them, you're going to detach these 2 connectors underneath the seat, and you can just pull the seat right out after that. You'll also need to undo this foot panel over here, and you can do that by first removing this engine release lever. Then you'll just undo this Phillips head screw right up in here. It's kind of hard to reach, but once you do that, you can just pull out and then pull to release the tabs. So on the wiring front, looking at the instructions for the subwoofer, we just have the audio cables, which I'm using 2 male-to-male RCA cables. And we have this remote turn-on wire, which is needed to turn the subwoofer on if we're using the RCA cables. And so I'm just using this normal wire I picked up at the store, and we're just going to wire it into the harness. After they're attached to the subwoofer, it's time to bring them to the radio. Now you're going to have to snake your wires through your dash, and so you can just pull this out here, and that makes it easier to fiddle around with the wires, as you'll see in a bit. And when you're running the audio cables, you do not want to interfere with the steering column. That is actually sort of dangerous. So what we're going to do is we're going to snake it up and on top of the dash. So if you look near the instrument display panel, you'll see 2 Torx head bolts that you can remove. Once this is loose, you can just run the wire sandwiched between these 2 layers right here. And the wire should run all the way down through here. I used the flexible piece of a hoop skirt to do that. Finally, we can go ahead and connect the RCA cables to the subwoofer output and the remote turn-on wire to the appropriate blue wire on the speaker harness. We're using less than 20 feet of wire, and we're carrying max 20 amps. So looking up at this chart I found on the internet, it says we can get away with 12 gauge wire. On one end, we're going to go ahead and strip the end and crimp on a spade connector, and later on the other end we'll strip it and we'll crimp on a ring terminal. Alright, let's take a look at the final product. Note that in the final version I had to rotate this 90 degrees in order to make the seat fit back on. Alright, so you can see the RCA cables are attached above, and underneath we have 3 wires. We got the power, ground, and the remote turn-on in the middle. And we're just going to follow these wires. As I discussed earlier, we're just going to take these wires and we're going to route them underneath this mat. And it's going to resurface over here on the other side of the foot panel. And it's just going to snake underneath the carpet and go up here. And note that I'm grounding the speaker wire right here, so you don't have to take it all the way to the battery. But the power wire goes through the firewall and ends up here. And you can see that I just traced the existing wiring on the Cascade camper setup, and I have a 20 amp fuse as well. Alright, let's go try it out. So be sure to turn the engine on, otherwise it's really easy to run the battery low. The subwoofer uses a lot of power.
wake it up while you sleep it up. I've been waiting for your eyes to open. Lying here with you in this bed and reaching out for someone to hold.
Alright guys, so that was my subwoofer setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And now for just some of my thoughts on the whole subwoofer thing. So it's not like the subwoofer is just super booming or anything. Rather, it just makes the sound overall more balanced. It doesn't sound like I'm listening to music through tiny little headphones 3 feet away from my ears. Also, I want to point out that the soundproofing makes a big difference as well. So I use 2 products for soundproofing. The first is Dynamat Extreme, which is this stuff over here. I just bought a whole box and I used about half of it so far. And as you remember from my previous video, I put that all over the door panels, but I also put them on the roof as well. And so that makes a very big difference in terms of noise. Before it was pretty unbearable to drive, and now it's a lot quieter. The second product I used is Dynapad, which I put underneath the seats, but I'm not really sure if that one helps that much. I was doing some reading online and it seems like you need to basically not have any air gaps in that type of insulation. And there's just so much space around where I don't have Dynapad that the sound's probably just getting through anyways. Alright, so thanks for watching guys. Let me know if you have any questions about what it's like to install the subwoofer. I definitely think it's worth it. I think the powered compact subwoofers are a little bit pricey, but if you compare that price to the price of getting your own amplifier and all the extra space you're going to need for that setup, I think it's a pretty decent value. So let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching this video.